With the recent Japan update for Microsoft Flight Simulator, I wanted to see if I could find some of the areas that I went to when I visited Japan about 6 years ago. And this is the trip that really ignited my interest in aviation, as I was on 9 different commercial flights in a span of 11 days, also visiting South Korea in between the trip. So the trip started in Seattle with an 11-hour flight to Tokyo. It had been a long time since I'd flown on a flight longer than an hour, so the long-haul amenities were very nice. And finally, 11 hours later, arriving in the afternoon at Narita Airport. From the airport, we took the train for several hours and later arrived at our hostel. And after settling in there, we started to head downtown for ramen. We walked around the downtown and later retired to the hostel back at the end of the night. Now the next day we spent in Taitebayashi, where there is a lot of farms, and we rode bikes to the river where it was cherry blossom season, and we also got to see hundreds of carp streamers hung across the river for the festival. And then later we rode our bikes into town to buy groceries for dinner. And the produce was so fresh, much more fresh than I'm used to, and going into the grocery stores and 7-Elevens were always a really fun thing to do because everything was so different from American stores. On the third day, we took a train to a spa near Diver City Plaza. I spent part of this day walking around, taking photos in the area. I remember using this building as a landmark to get back to where I started. It could be seen from very far, so I knew as long as I walked toward it, I would be fine. And during my adventure, I found this theme park and the giant robot outside Diver Plaza. I was also able to find these in the simulator, which was very cool to see from the sky. Now after this day, headed to South Korea for 3 days and then returned back to Narita for another 3 days in Japan. And once we got back, we visited the Senso-ji, which is the oldest temple in Tokyo, and it had a nice market to walk around and just a very beautiful area to see. And later on in the afternoon, it began to rain out of nowhere, so we headed to the train and we went somewhere else for a couple of hours. But it was a really fun day. The next day was spent at Disneyland Tokyo, which at this time I had never been to a Disney park, not even in America, so I went to my first Disney theme park in Tokyo. I didn't get to ride many of the rides because of the lines, but had a good time there. On the final day, we took the train to the Skytree Mall, which is the tallest structure in Japan and I think the entire world. It has over 300 shops and we had fun looking through a lot of them. We ended up having dinner at a place that served a great okonomiyaki, which was the first time I had tried it. Kind of described as a Japanese pancake, can use cabbage and chicken, and there's all kinds of different ways to do it, but a very delicious meal. After that, it was back on a flight for 12 hours to LAX, where then took one more flight up to Northern California and was home. But it was a very fun trip. First time I really left the country that far and had a great experience and really loved Japanese culture and would possibly love to live there one day. So that was my adventure in Microsoft Flight Simulator, trying to recreate this vacation. Hope you enjoyed. See you on the next video. Take care.